Good morning. Glad you all could join us here this morning. My name is Winston Haight. I'm the Senior Product Marketing Manager for Dynamics AX. I'm joined on stage this morning by Jared and Sheffy. They're the two PMs. They're all the PMs for Lifecycle Services. And we have in the audience with us Chris, who is actually their boss, but he's going to be here to help answer any questions that might come up about Azure. We're going to be talking about it a little bit. He himself has been on point for the Azure Deployment Portal development and has been helping with a lot of the sizing issues and things that are going on. He has a session, quick plug for his session tomorrow at 2 o'clock. It'll be in B310. Okay. I will make a suggestion. I already checked yesterday. The room seats about 160, and there's over 300 people signed up for it. So if you want to see it and have a nice, comfortable seat, or at least a comfortable place to stand, you might want to get there a few minutes early. But I know there's a lot of interest, so definitely take a lot of questions, but we may end up deferring to have you talk to them offline, or maybe just have you go to the session and get a lot of questions answered there. So we just want to go ahead and let you know we're going to be talking about optimizing your Microsoft Dynamics AX application lifecycle. Really excited to be here and be able to give you an overview of the product and what's going on and what's with it. I know I like to fly fish. Fly fished all over the country. One of the things I love to do. Had an opportunity to fish in some of the nicest areas, most remote areas around. And a few years ago, I was fly fishing with my family. We had a guide, and we were up in the mountains, and we'd been fishing all day long. I caught zip. I didn't caught anything. Everyone else in the family, of course, caught all sorts of stuff. And I'm sitting there, and I'm struggling, and I'm with the guide, and it's late in the day, and trying to at least catch some fish somewhere. And he's pointing to a spot. He's like, "You got to get right over there. Get right over there. There's something over there." So I'm trying. Then what, of course, happens? My family shows up. So now I have an audience. Pressure's on, wondering what's happening. So finally, I get the fly to that spot that I want. It's floating down. The fish comes up, rolls over. There's a flash from its stomach rolling over. You set the hook. You got the fish. That moment of excitement, that pride that I felt, I hope you all understand that's what we have today with Lifecycle Services. It just introduced it in June. Hasn't even been out a full year yet. There's a lot of great stuff that's going on with it, and really excited to be able to show it to you this morning. Jared and Sheffy are going to be stepping you through a demonstration of all of the different services. So let's get going. We hope you enjoy it. The normal disclaimer slide we have to put up, just the normal. This is pre-release code that you're seeing. The actual GA officially is May 1 for Microsoft Dynamics AX 2012 R3. So the normal housekeeping piece that we have to go through. What are we going to talk about today? Pretty straightforward. We're going to give you a little background on application lifecycle management as it relates to Microsoft Dynamics AX 2012, kind of where it came from, how it came about, then step through, as I said, demonstrations by Sheffy and Jared of all the different services, go a little bit about adoption and feedback. Jared's going to go over the roadmap for the next 6 to 12 months, and then we'll have questions and answers at the end. Now, when it comes to questions and answers, we have 3 microphones set up over here. Please get up. We want this to be interactive. There's going to be a lot of demos. I'm sure a lot of questions are going to come up. Please make sure that you step up to the microphone. We know you're going to have some great questions. We want the people who may be listening to the presentation, because it's being recorded, to hear what we're answering. So please step up to the microphones, and I'll try to keep an eye out and catch and make sure that we get your questions that you're going to answer. And feel free to step up to the mic and just say, "Hey, I've got a question." So when we introduced Microsoft Dynamics AX 2012, we started going after a much larger customer installation, much larger customers, and with that it became more complex. And with that complexity, we started to see patterns of what customers were coming to us with questions about and everything. And as it kind of started bubbling up, they started to kind of form into areas that we said, we can help the customer with that. We can maybe help automate something, give them more detail. So as we started to get those more and more defined, the tools themselves that we started to create, we started to realize we could kind of pull them together in one space. And with that, we started to realize we could do an application lifecycle management concept for Microsoft Dynamics AX 2012. So we pulled them all together, realized that we could help from the beginning to the end, from your requirements definition all the way through to operating the system efficiently, more efficiently. And that's kind of where we're coming from this. So the 4 different personas, if you will, that were targeted towards AX 2012 for lifecycle services is the project manager, the business analyst, the developer, and the IT administrator. So as we look at this slide is just going to kind of go through, actually going to build this quickly so you can see who's for which different section is going to come up at the end here. So these are the different tools that we see in it. I realize some of those that are up there, I apologize. The SureStep, the Agile Project Management, and the Process Methodology Automation for the Project Manager, those are going to be coming soon. They're not going to be available, I think some of it's going to be available GA, some of it may be a little bit available past that. The beauty that we have with Lifecycle Services is it's cloud-based. So we go through about 4-week sprints on the product. So anytime that we're trying to do development work and everything, you're going to see updates come out about every 4-6 weeks, depending on the cycle and what they're focusing on. The advantage to that is when those updates come out, they're out. They're available. You don't have to worry about downloading anything. So that makes it really exciting that we can keep constantly updating, adding new services, adding new features to different services that are out there, adding additional rules or business processes. So we're really excited about that. In terms of feedback on Lifecycle Services, we've gotten a lot, and it's been really exciting. I think the bottom right one is really good. Business Process Modeler saved us 160 to 200 hours. A lot of companies with a lot of the success that customers are having with Lifecycle Services with AX is because of the metadata-driven nature of AX. We can capture a lot of information, and the idea is that we want to have you enter it just once and be able to flow it through the process as much as we possibly can to simplify it. And the goal is for us to deliver the right information at the right time to the right people. So just a little bit about the personas. The project manager itself, and this is really important, repeatable and predictable project experience and success. This is the core tenet of what Lifecycle Services is all about. Finding, understanding the processes, excuse me, and then defining that so that it can be repeated over and over and over again. And we've refined this with interactions with customers, with partners, and everything. And so that's, I think, really a key tenet, and it lands in the project management space. The business analyst, excuse me, really what we're trying to do, again, help them with definitions, requirements gathering, things like that. Time to value is really important for them. For developers, we're trying to help automate what they're doing and also help them deliver increased quality of code to the end users and their customers. And then the IT administrator, how do we help you proactively manage your implementation? How do we help you automate, be able to see things, and then be able to proactively go after it so you're not as reactive? So with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Jared, who's going to go ahead and take you through the first set of demos.
So we're going to demo to you all the different tools that are available on Lifecycle Services today, and we're going to demo to you all the tools that will be available to you coming up in the next 6 to 12 months. So you'll see us kind of spatter them back and forth as we go. In order to try and keep them a little bit in strategy here, we're going to go through them by each area. So we're going to start with the define area and what it takes to actually figure out what you need in a particular implementation. So the very first thing that you're going to see whenever you log into LCS is our project homepage. So here is a spattering of all of your tools, and the idea is that you can manage the life cycle of using all of these tools here. Now, in many of these implementations, you'll actually see a set of tasks over here that relate to where you're at in the project. If you're doing a pre-sales project, you'll see pre-sales related activities. If you're doing an implementation, you'll see implementation steps. Now, as Winston was pointing out earlier, we also have a set of things coming that will allow us to automate the methodology that you're using and to let us actually look at the steps that you need to do. To give you a quick preview of what this will look like. So this is what the actual phases would look like today if you were doing them in an implementation project. And tomorrow we hope to add even more capabilities to be able to track your work items in TFS and keep a very strong track of all the things that you need to do within the course of your implementation project. So with that said, I'm going to hand it off. Sheffy and I this evening are going to be handing, or I guess this morning, wow, I'm still in last night apparently. So Sheffy and I are going to be handing it back and forth, and we're going to keep it really lively and show you probably more demos in this whole session than I think any other session combined. So go for it.
Hey, thanks, Jared. So which phase of the project are we on right now? Chris or someone? Exactly, right. So we're in the define phase right now, and we are going to deal with all tools that's available in Lifecycle Services, specifically for the define phase. So for now, we will get started with the first tool that we have for you guys, which is actually the license sizing estimator. So like Jared just mentioned, you see all the tools out here, and based on the phase of the implementation that you are in, you're going to see the tools on the right side. So you go into license sizing estimator. So this tool basically helps you understand or know what kind of licensing information is actually required for a customer or a partner. So let's say you're a partner and you're working with a customer. Then this tool gives you a head start in terms of understanding what kinds of licensing does the customer need based on the duties, the jobs, the roles that's there. So what we have here is this is what we call the main landing page of license sizing estimator. And you have an option here where you can actually go ahead and add the departments that the specific customer is going to deal with. So for now, let me just pick up the operations department. So there you go. So now the specific customer actually has an operations department. For each of these departments out here, you can actually go ahead and add the roles. So the roles that you see here is tied one-to-one with AX 2012. So we ask you things like, what roles are you looking for? So for now, let's just say I'm looking for an environmental manager, and I'm going to have, let's say, one guy. So I enter the details. I go through the rest of the departments and add the corresponding roles for each of these departments. And let's say for some reason I go here and I realize that, oh, you know what? The role that I'm looking for is not here. What do I do now? So I'm just going to say I need a custom. Oh, my bad. And the validation works as well. So. There you go. So what we do out here is once you define a custom role, we're going to ask you what duties is a specific person going to perform in AX. So you can come here and add the duties. So for some reason, I think he's going to be CEO in the environment department. And I hit save. So what it does here is it's actually a one-to-one mapping with what's there in AX 2012. So once you have all the details keyed in for the corresponding customer, you can come here and generate the report right out here. So this is what the suggested or the proposed CAL level for the customers is going to look like. So based on what we entered here for each of the departments that's there, you actually see the corresponding entries here. And if you see, we added the operations with a custom role, and it has a licensing level. We have 2 people, and it has an enterprise level licensing. So there is one item here where we actually help you also estimate the AOS licenses. So we'll talk about it when we do the usage profiler. Before I move on to the next one, so I actually have E and Sam here. Do you guys mind standing up? So E is the engineering lead for Lifecycle Services, and Sam is another engineer. So all the great work that you see out here is the work done by these guys and the team back in Seattle. Okay. Okay, so now let's jump on to the next tool, which is the usage profiler. So basically what this tool does is it helps you understand the usage pattern of your AX implementation. And also we take it one step further, where we also tell you what is your hardware plan or hardware sizing going to be. So what we do here is we give you an option to key in the different usage patterns. So we give you options where you can say, yes, I'm going to have reports, I can add the details, and based on that, we ask you a bunch of questions. Actually, we ask you a lot of questions. And the feedback, based on the feedback we received, we also support Excel capability here. So once you add the details you need, you can actually download the Excel from here, key in all the details, work with your respective teams, and get back with the details and upload it back in the usage profiler. So once you have keyed in all the details, you can just hit on the summary page. So this tool basically helps you understand how the usage is going to be, at what time of the day am I going to have the most peak, or what time of the week am I going to have the batch process, am I going to run into any performance issue at some point in time, and whatnot. So this tool basically helps you understand the usage pattern, when it's going to be, all the questions that you guys answered. So what we try to do here is, based on the usage pattern, we also generate the hardware estimation for you. So what that means is, based on all the details you keyed in, this is going to be the hardware infrastructure that you need to support the corresponding installation that you have out there. Any questions so far? Okay. Jared, will you go?
All right, so feel free, if you have any questions at any time, please feel free to raise your hand, come and hang out at one of the microphones. We'd love to answer them along the way. We're going to be going through a lot of tools, and it'll be easy to get out of context kind of as we move forward. So please don't hesitate to ask any questions that you have. So next up, so we talked about how in Define you want to do all these various things, but it looks like I've got some questions from my ask, so go for it.
Question about the roles. Does it use the roles that you have defined in your AX, or the roles that are out of the box?
The ones that are out of the box.
And do you have a question too?
Basically the same question, so that's all.
All right, out of the box roles it is. All right, so we talked about how you can find out and help size and help figure out what your licenses are. Another thing that we see a lot of people wanting to do in a pre-sales phase is get a demo environment up and running. And this is where those Azure features that we're talking about start coming in really handy. So Chris is going to have a whole session on it tomorrow. But to give you a quick idea of what we're looking at, once I get relogged in. Very soon we'll have the ability to actually deploy a demo environment. So if you're a partner working with a customer, or a customer wanting to see this for the first time, you'll be able to actually deploy a cloud-hosted Azure VM and Lifecycle Services, and we can do it in under 15 minutes. So you can go, click New, and create one, and you're good to go. But I'm not going to steal Chris's thunder, so go to his session tomorrow, and you can hear lots more about that. Yeah?
So the deployment, is it basically deploying a VM to Azure, or is it using like database services? Is it kind of decomposing it into specific services for Azure, or is it?
Right now we're basically deploying a VM on Azure. We're not decomposing it into specific Azure services.
Gotcha.
And you'll hear a lot more about it. I would really recommend Chris's session. He's got a lot of great content on exactly how it works and what our roadmap is in that space.
Okay, so then for private cloud, it could go to an ESX host, VMware, potentially down the road?
Yes, that would be the idea, is that we would virtualize in a private cloud situation as well. Okay, so moving on to our next feature. So one of our most popular tools, actually, is our business process modeler. And it kind of comes in 2 stages here. So the first stage is in the pre-sales area when you're trying to actually define out the business processes that your customer has. Sorry if I'm doing that in some way, I don't know, but I'll try and keep your eardrums safe if I can. All right, so we actually ship a set of business process library called APQC, and we worked with them to kind of figure out what a standard mapping might be. So this is one way that a business might actually map all of their business processes. So you can see develop vision and strategy, market and sell products, and we can go in and dive into these specific things. Now, the idea with Business Process Modeler is that you can figure out how you're actually doing these processes in AX. So the way this works is you'll go into AX and you'll pull up Task Recorder. You'll go and actually record the process as it exists today or as your customer does it today. So you just go through, actually run the process, and then we output this sort of an architecture for you. And if we take a look at one of them here, you'll see what we can generate. So this is a business process model that was sure you're all awake, you know. All right. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Yes? All right. I'm back. All right. So, where was I? So, this business process model is generated by the Task Recorder and Business Process tool. So all of these are actually AX processes. You can see here's the actual AOT form or list page that you're at, the data sources. You can get a lot of information from here. You can also go, and if you're wanting to rerun the process, you can do something like right-click, and you can open in AX 2012. This is a new feature that we actually released, I think, only 5 days ago. So we, and as Winston was saying, we're a very agile team. We're always looking for new features to come out. So I'll kind of point out to you some of the new ones that we've very recently released. So if you're familiar, you kind of can see where some of the new things are. So, and you can also see the video down here. So this is actually what we did to form this business process. So if you need somebody to do training or you want to take a look back at how it actually works, you can go and watch the video to do so. All right, so that's what you would do in the analyze phase. Now, we can take this forward and we can keep using the business process modeler for our next phase, which is the develop phase. So a project manager and a developer may come in here and want to use this even more. So they identify all these business processes, but the next thing we want to do is say, okay, well, how do those business processes differ from what I actually want? So you can come in, you can see I've already kind of been playing around with one here. So you can model a gap in the business process modeler. So you come in and say, here's how I would actually like it to work, or here's how it actually works in my company. And you can go and change the business process. We track these things as gaps, and then you can come forward later and get a list of gaps out. So later you can go and say, I want a list of gaps, or you can say that something's not a gap. So if, let's say you have an outside business process, like you need to go email something, but we don't exactly capture it, you can come and model that in here as well. So we want to give you one place to map all of your business processes, and we want to make it easy for you to be able to identify where gaps exist and move those gaps to the people who can actually make them into reality. And that's what Business Process Modeler aims to do. So that said, we were talking before about how we wanted to do all this methodology automation work and really move into kind of the SureStep methodology. And some of our coming features in this space are going to help us to do that. So in the future, we hope that you'll be able to actually take those gaps and push them right into TFS, where you can track them there. Yeah?
So that the PPC tool, is that strictly for AX, or can I use it for, can I use it for my modeling current processes?
Today, it's specifically for AX. However, you can model things otherwise within it. I mean, it'll be very similar to Visio if you're doing something that's not in AX.
Oh, yeah.
The-
So it's similar to Visio is what it is, but it's strictly more towards AX.
Right, so all the metadata, so going back to the demo here, so all of this goodness of the metadata of what's actually going on within these things comes from AX. We can't get all of that data if you just model it by hand.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions on the business process modeler before I move on? I usually get a lot of good ones here. Go
Are you
for it.
going to expand it all on the Open and AX? Is that just using the demo environments, or is that linked to your individual environment?
Yeah, so it actually opens AX in your local system. So we use Click Once, and we download an app, and then we launch your default instance of AX on the system. So as long as you're on a machine with AX running, it'll open AX, and it'll launch the form that the block corresponded with. Obviously, we can't do it with all forms, so if it doesn't show up, it's probably because the form needed some sort of extra data coming into it, or there was something else wonky, like it was an EP form or something. Yeah?
Hi. Is there any way of loading 2009 Cast Recorder into it?
No. Today we don't support 2009. 2012 only.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
When you say AX is running, is it locally I need to be on the server to use this tool, or I can be on the client machine?
So to be able to open an AX, it can be on the client machine. It opens the AX client.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So to record the business processes, you will need to be on the server because we capture a lot of ETW events and traces from the server while you're doing the recordings, and we need all of that data. Other questions? All right. Moving forward then. So the next tool that we have, and this is another new ad for us, is RapidStart. So many of you know that RapidStart has been a standalone tool on its side, and as of our February release, you can actually get to it straight from LCS right now. I'm not actually going to go into it because I'm logged in as my Microsoft account right now instead of an actual customer account, but when you click on this, it's going to ask you which data center you want to be provisioned in. You can select the one that's closest to your customer or your implementation, and then you can go right into RapidStart. You don't need to go through Dynamics Online like you once did. And all the power of RapidStart is still here. So if you want to work on building templates to enable you to push configuration quickly into a system, you can go here to do so. And there's a lot of good documentation that you can read up on RapidStart. It's the 2-second version of RapidStart. All right, next up. So, Sheffy, you're up if you want to go for CAT.
So once more. So which phase of the project are we on right now? Awesome. So yes, so we haven't forgotten the developers basically. So the next tool we have mostly focused on the developers, just like Winston mentioned in the beginning. AX 2012 is a highly customizable product, and the outcome and the output you get depends on the kind of customizations you have, the code quality you have in place, and the bugs you have introduced, of course. So what we have here is it's called the customization analysis. So what this tool does is it basically has predefined rules. And these rules are the ones that we learn when we interact with customers and partners day in and day out. As Microsoft, we get involved in terms of issues the customers face, the support tickets we get, the escalations we get. So based on all those learnings, what we have done is we have converted them into rules as part of the customization analysis. And when you have your customization, and as a developer, when you are working on your customization, what you can do here is you can actually submit your model into Lifecycle Services customization analysis tool. We're going to run through those tools and then give you a report which you can consume and make the right decisions. So let me just do a quick demo here. So this is the customization project page. So what we need here is the AX model file. So you take your model file, you commit Lifecycle Services, you commit customization analysis, you create a project, customization analysis project, and you upload your model file here. We run the rules on this model file you uploaded, and we give you results. So the kind of rules we have is we check for everything starting from data integrity issues? Are there any performance issues? Or are there any kind of changes or customizations that you have done which might lead into upgrade issues in the future? So how many of you have actually read or know about the AX customization best practices document that's out there on information source? Great, okay. So a lot of the rules that you see out here is actually automation to the rules that's defined in the document. And if there are developers in the room and in case you have not gone through that document, I strongly suggest you guys go through the document, make sure you know what a good customization is and what a bad customization is. With that said, I'll just go through the reports that get generated. So we basically generate three kinds of report. The first report is actually a very high-level report which talks about what kind of customization issues we see in terms of high-level graphs and high-level details in terms of counts for each tables, the classes, what all kinds of objects you have basically. Okay, I think it's taking a couple of minutes to open up. While it opens up, I'll just go to the next one. Okay, it's taken. Right, yeah, that's a good point, Chris. So, you know what? Let me just close this and retry, basically. So, what we do out here is once you load the model files, we actually spin off a VM for you based on the AX version you chose. It supports 2012 right now, so it's 2012 6.1 and 6.2. For each of those, we have the VMs in which the customizations get loaded, and we run the rules on them, basically. Yeah. Oh, you have a question?
Hi. The document you were just talking about, the implementation best practices, is that under customer source or where would you find
It's
that?
in another source, information source, basically.
Information source,
Right.
okay.
So with the next update of Lifecycle Services, we are also going to add a link out here, so you'll be able to download the document directly from here as well.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? You know what?
So,
Yeah.
the customization that you're talking about, will that take care of the ISVs as well?
Yes, you can load the ISV models. Yes.
The ISV customization too?
Yes. So you can basically load the dependencies. Let's say you have the ISV and then you have your customization on top of that. You can actually load all of them as part of the same project itself to Lifecycle Services. So we do run the rules on all the models you submit.
Oh, I see. So if I have ISV as part of my AX, so I can load the ISV modules and all of them in the VM? Is
Right.
what you're
So
saying?
yes, that's
Oh, I
correct.
see.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Now that we have the report out here, so this is how the high-level report is going to look like. So this basically gives you an idea of how many customizations are there, what kind of tables you have. The one that's going to be a very interest to you is actually the specific sheet that's out here, which is an issue list. This is where we talk about which property, which method, and the kind of issues that we have seen. So you can go through this report to see what kind of details are there, what kind of issues are there. These are the top issues. So basically what this report can be used is to see what kind of patterns do you see with your developers. Like most of the times, based on our experience, what we have seen is the developers keep making the same mistake over and over. So when you go through specifically report like this, you get an overview of where do they stand in terms of the code quality. So with that said, let me just switch back. I'm sure if you give the Excel report to the developer and say, hey, please go fix the issues, he's going to say, really? Am I supposed to find the code that's causing the issue from Excel report? No, he's for sure going to be pretty mad at you. So what we have out here is a developer report. This is the one that the developer can actually load into AX, and he can directly see the line which is causing the specific error in customization analysis. So I'll move on to the next one, which is upgrade analysis service. You're in the develop phase right now, and you want to upgrade to, let's say, 2009 or AX4 to 2012. The first step for upgrade is always upgrade planning, where you go through your customization, your AX 2009 or AX4 instance to see what kind of customizations have you done on top of it, how many tables do you have, and also upgrade is not just the code upgrade, right? You also have the data upgrade. So what that means is you need to upgrade the data and you need to upgrade the code. So what we help you with this tool is we help you plan the whole upgrade process. We have a client component which you can download and install, which is called the Rapid Data Collector. That's the one which actually goes through your AX instance and sucks the data in terms of how many records do you have in your specific tables, what are the parameters you have, what are the configurations you have, and also you can submit your AODs here. So once we have both your AOD and the output of the Rapid Data Collector, what we do here is we actually give you a report in terms of how many objects do you have which you have customized, how many records are there in your table, because most of the time we have seen is customers might want to upgrade the data, but most of the data is actually residing in the log tables and not in the main data table. So do you really want to upgrade the log data and all that? So this basically gives you a head start in terms of planning the whole upgrade process. Yep, there we go. So yes, this says, I've just run a sample model here. So this just says how many tables I have, how many classes I have, the whole view, customization class, statistics, what objects have been modified from the base version of AX 2009, the modified object details, the domain details, the record status, the table statistics in terms of how many records are there in each of this table. So basically, there are like tons of information we spit out. So this basically gives you an overview on how much the upgrade is going to cost you, basically. Okay. So with that said, we'll move on to the next one.
Yep. So with that said, can you guys hear me? Yes. Awesome. So next up, that's all the tools that we have for a developer. The next area is actually operating your environment. So once you get this thing all set up, the next thing you need to do is actually just keep it running and keep it healthy. So we've got a whole set of tools that we think will help you do that. But before I continue, are there any questions back on the developer tools? Anything in upgrade analysis, anything in the customization analysis tool? All right, moving forward then. So the next tool that we have is our diagnostics tool. So in diagnostics, essentially what we do is we take a look at what's happening in your actual running environment. So what you'll do is you'll download a connector that you'll install into your environment, and then it will go and discover all of your various resources and what's going on within your AX installation. Then your collector will actually upload a set of data that we can then analyze and figure out how your current system is running. So the big claim here is around the messages features. So we have a set of rules that we actually run against that data that we've collected. And you can see that these rules will tell you if there are certain issues that we know about in your system. And we're always looking to add to these rules as well. So something, for instance, that's a good one is number sequences with low remaining values. So obviously you can have a lot of problems happen if you run out of number sequences. So if you take a look, we've gone and shown you which specific areas and the percentages used. So you can see here that we've given you insightful information into your system and how it's running today. This tool will also help us out when we get to some of our support case management stuff, which Sheffy will be talking about shortly. And that's our diagnostics tool. So the next tool that we have is issue search. And I'll let Sheffy do it. This is one of our also most popular tools for IT admins.
Okay, issue search. Hello? Yeah. So this is one tool that has the most usage in terms of figuring out what's happening with the AX instance. Like Jared just mentioned right now, you're going through, let's say, either in the developer phase, you are actually in the process of building your customizations, or you are actually in the operate phase and you see some issue with your AX instance, like let's say you face performance issues, or let's say you face inconsistencies in terms of, let's say, data or whatnot. And you need to figure out, is there a fix available for it? What am I supposed to do? So what do you do right now? You basically go to either customer source or partner source, or you search for it, or you go into, let's say, Bing or other search engines, and you search to see if there's any kind of hot fixes available or any solutions available for the specific issue that you're facing. But what we are trying to do out here is, as Microsoft, we exactly know what kind of issues have been reported in the past, right? When you guys run into an issue and when you guys don't find a solution out there, you reach out to Microsoft saying, hey, I'm running into this issue. Do you guys have a fix for it? What do we do then? We basically reach back to you guys saying, hey, this might be a workaround that might work. Or, okay, we understand it's a miss on our side, and there we go, this is a KB. So what we do out here is we give you an option or a capability to actually search all the hot fixes that's shipped by Microsoft so far. And it's not just the hot fixes. Sometimes we also give workarounds. So these workarounds mostly stay with the customer or a partner, and unless the workaround gets blocked or someone talks about it on a social community or on their blogs, these remain as IP of the person who's actually ran into this issue. So what we're trying to do here is we give you visibility into all of this in terms of what's closed, what's workarounds, what KBs, and also let's say you're running into an issue and you're like, oh, does Microsoft even know about this issue? So what we do here is we also give you visibility into what are the open issues with Microsoft right now. So what that means is you don't need to raise another ticket and then see, and then we get back to you saying, hey, you know what, we already know about this issue. So what we do here is you get visibility into all of those. So we'll do a quick demo of that first. Okay, there you go. So let's say we are the operate phase and you're seeing some performance issues with financial statement or any of the issues. So you just come to issue search and you search for it, and there you go. You can go through it and see, oh, you know what? This might be the issue that I'm facing. And before I go there, these are the different types that we show out here. We show you all the resolved issues. We show you the workarounds, the ones that we say will not be fixed, the ones that's postponed. And these are the open issues that's with Microsoft right now, and the by design bugs. So the first question that I always get for issue search is, how often is this data getting updated? So this data gets updated every 48 hours. So what it means is, in the last 48 hours, this issue is open. So when an issue gets closed, the status moves from open to any of those, the rest of the items based on the action which was taken by Microsoft. Let's say you think, oh, looks like this might be the issue that I'm running into. So you go and open the issue. So what we give you is, we give you a visibility into like what was done by Microsoft as part of the fix, or what do we think is actually causing the issue. So we even, what we do or what we provide is a visibility into the line of code that was fixed by Microsoft, so which helps you understand, will my customizations break if I uptake this KB? Because in the past, how it's been is you download the KB, you install the KB on your side, and then you try to figure out if your customizations are broken. But with this tool, we help you understand which line of code changed. Oops, I think we ran into an issue here. Okay, this issue, you can't search on issue search. I'm just going to go back here. I'm just going to refresh this. There you go. So you can directly download the hotfix from here. Let's say you find that, yes, this is the issue. You can download the hotfix here. You can actually see the affected objects as part of this hotfix. What we also give you is, this is the line of code I was talking about. we tell you what change was done by Microsoft as part of this KB. So before even you uptake the KB, now you feel more empowered about knowing what's going to happen if I take this KB. I actually have customers who, even when they uptake a CU, they actually come to issue search and see what KBs are impacting what lines of code. Okay? Have any of you guys been to the tech conference which we had a couple of weeks back? Great, okay. So one of the feedback and the ask from the tech conference was, this is awesome. Can I actually search by affected objects? Because I'm actually right now working on a specific object, and I want to see if there's any hotfixes that's available for the specific objects. So we took the feedback, and it's just been like 3 weeks now? Yeah. So what we support right now is you can support even by the affected objects. So let's say I'm working on class. There you go. These are the hotfixes that is right now available to the specific objects. Then we got another feedback. This is great. Now I know what hotfixes are available. Is it possible to have this capability directly from my developer window, from a developer experience? And we had one of the guys in the team, they said, you know what? Let me see if I can quickly pull that for you. So what we have out here is the very familiar AX instance. We have two kinds of LCS integration out here. The first one is we directly help you go to lifecycle services from your AX instance. But let's say you're working on the cust table, the favorite table basically, and you want to see is there any hotfixes or issue search issue list that's available for this specific object. So just going to hit the login here. There you go. So from a dev environment, you get direct visibility into any hotfixes that you expect to see. Like, let's say you run into some issues during your developer experience when you are in the process of deving stuff. You can actually directly use your dev instance and use your lifecycle services login to actually find resolution to the issues that you're facing. Hey, any questions so far? Thank you. And that goes straight to the dev team because we got this feedback like a week back, and the functionality is already working. So this is where the power of cloud comes in, where we are able to ship stuff real time or almost close to real time. Go for it.
Well, does it know that what version of the code that I have already in my dev? Based on which, does it suggest that, okay, you have mods available or not?
Okay, so that's the next feedback. Basically, right now, no. So we have received two feedback. One was do a diff of all the KBs that we have out there and tell me the ones that's missing. And the second feedback was in terms of, as Microsoft, you guys know what is the high priority feedback or high priority KBs. Just let me know what are the high priority hotfixes that I need to install. So it's work in progress.
Was that an add-in that you needed to install in your Visual Studio environments on your development workstations?
That is correct, yes. The one that you saw right now is on R3, but we'll be porting it back to R2. So you're going to have another KB which you can download and install, which is going to give you the capability to have the issue search plugin.
Just one comment. Is there any chance that that'll eventually tie in with like a social media aspect?
I didn't get that, sorry?
Is there any chance that one day that as you're searching for hotfixes on the code, that we might see some social media?
That's another feedback.
Feedback.
We will see what we can do there, yes. Thank you.
So now, what happens to the current step methodologies that's already there that somebody we need to follow? Is this a new way of SureStep that what we are saying is the lifecycle services? No.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
There we go. Okay. So I'll take this one. So we are looking in the future, and I'll talk a little bit more on the roadmap timeframe, at how we really get a methodology into lifecycle services. Today we've got a loose methodology. It's more of a set of services, a collection of services, if you will, that help you actually do this implementation, but we want to get a lot more rigid about how that works. So we want to provide a set of rails, so to speak, that tell you, here's the best way to do an implementation. We want to guide you through using these things. So you'll see that coming from us in the future. We're working on some features in this space. So with that said, I'm going to let Sheppy hop back to issue log.
Okay, so how many of you have actually reached out to Microsoft to report an issue in the past? Okay, that's a lot of hands. So what we are trying to do here is we are trying to redefine the whole issue logging experience. Okay, it sounds big, so I'll go through what we are trying to do. And also, we have a session at 3:30 today as part of the support and maintenance, where we're going to cover about the whole feature and also the whole update experience in detail. So I strongly suggest you guys attend that session as well. So with that said, like Winston mentioned, in the past, we must have asked you guys when you file a case saying, hey, which version of AX do you have? What KBs do you have? What hotfixes do we have? So gone are those days. Like going forward, we are not going to ask you guys what kind of KBs you have, what hotfixes you have, which version of AX are you running? Because with the power of system diagnostic, combined with lifecycle services, combined with issue search, we exactly know what KBs you have installed. So that's where your question comes in. We already know what KBs we have, so that's where we will be able to do a defense, tell you what KBs you need to install. So by us knowing what environment state or what state your environment is in, we actually help you log issues faster, and also you in turn help Microsoft in terms of resolving the issues faster. So I'll quickly go through the flow here. So this is the incident list. So what we also give out here is you get visibility into all the issues that your project or your implementation has opened with Microsoft. Okay. So with that said, you come here, you're free. You're free. You're like, yeah, I'm actually running into an issue, so I need to file the case. So you come into. Yeah, this tool right now is in beta phase, and I'm sure a few of you guys have received invitation from our team in terms of signing up for the beta process. This is a project that I have here. Then I go in and click on the support incidents. I see the list of all open and closed incidents and the whole issue state. So there you go. So when you come in to file an issue, we give you an option to pick up the environment that you're dealing with. So right now I have, so this environment is actually coming from system diagnostic. So when you run system diagnostic in your environment or in your ecosystem, we ask you to create it by environment. Like you can have a dev environment, test, pre-live, production. So based on that, those different environments are going to come up here. So what that means is from this drop-down, you can choose the environment where you are running into this issue. For now, I have one environment here. And for that environment, I will be able to see what kind of hotfixes you have installed, what kind of KBs you have out there, all kinds of details, basically. So let me just come here. Let me just hit press here. There you go. So for this specific environment, now we know the application build that you are on. We know the kernel build that you are on. We know the model files that you have installed. So what we try to do here is, as part of the support filing experience itself, we gather all this information from your profile, and we give you an option. I'm just going to say void case here, because I don't want a support guy waking up in the middle of the night trying to figure out what the issue is, because there's a production system right now. So what we do here is that part of the support filing experience itself, we give you an option to search for an issue. So this is basically tied up into issue search. So let's say for some reason you haven't done issue search, we basically go through issue search and help you figure out maybe there's a hotfix that's available which is going to help you resolve the issue. Let's say for some reason you didn't find the hotfix. You can just come here, key in all the details, and finally file the case. We are not done yet. At this point in time, we actually know your KB state, your application details, your kernel details. What we do is, with the power of cloud, we actually spin off an environment in cloud with the exact state that was captured by system diagnostic. What that means is you get a repro environment on the cloud in your exact configuration and settings on which you can actually repro the issue. So when you repro the issue, we actually have a capture tool like the task recorder and the screen recorder, where we see what steps you perform to repro the issue, and that's when you actually say, yes, file the case. So then what happens is, when Microsoft logs into the VM, we know exactly what steps you did to actually repro the issue. And that gives us a head start in terms of understanding what's the customer trying to do. And let's say we still have some questions like, why did you actually go ahead and do this? So we can ask you, what were you trying to do? So you can say, I was trying to do the business process, which is the business process modeler that Jared just talked about. I was trying to do step number 1.3.2. With that, our support guy and also our core team exactly knows what you're trying to do and what issue you ran into. So we work on the fix, we ship the fix back to you saying, hey, this is a KB that you need to do, or this is a workaround you need to do. What we do there is we give back the repro VM to you. You can actually apply the hotfix or the workaround on the VM right there without spinning up another environment to see it works. And then you can actually confirm with Microsoft that the case is closed. So that's where we are trying to actually bring in being quick, being fast in terms of helping resolve issues faster and to be more effective. So with that said, any questions? Okay.
I've had a number of cases dealing with the .NET interface, things running in a CLR, and to report those, I've had to build, just a quick tool or a project in in Visual Studio. How would that work in this kind of a scenario? Because it sounds like what you're doing here is mostly just pure X++ reproduction.
Right. So yes. So right now it's mostly focused with the AX issues, AX standalone issues. But if you're running into scenarios where, let's say, you have a .NET issue, so you might actually build the same tool that you did build, but then when you repro the issue, you can actually copy that tool onto the repro VM, and then repro the issue there. And when a Microsoft logs in, then he has the access to the tool because you have already shared it out there, and we know what steps you performed. Any other questions?
Hi. I guess on the repro issue side of things, is there any integration with Enterprise Portal? I know a number of our support issues have been Enterprise Portal related, but if this is AX, does it have anything for Enterprise Portal?
Yes, we do, yes. So you will be able to repro your issue on the plain vanilla version. And also once we provision the VM for you guys, most of the questions that I always get is, how about the issues that's related to my data, or how about the ones that is related to my customization? So if you guys think there's this one specific piece of code that's causing an issue, or one specific data that's causing an issue, or maybe it's EP, you can actually come in, configure the VM the way you want, and then send it back to Microsoft saying, yes, now I'm able to repro the issue.
Yeah, that's great. On the issue, I guess on the incident log, does this integrate with our partners' incidents? Sometimes we'll issue the incident, sometimes it's the partner that issues the incident or logs it.
Yes, so that's a very, very good question. So when we started off as beta, right, the first feedback we got was exactly the same thing. I'm a customer, but the partner files a case for me. How do I track it, or where do I track it? So this is one place where you as a customer gets visibility to all the issues that's filed by partner on your behalf. or even you yourself. And most of the times, there might be a couple of folks in your organization who actually has access to file the case. But this tool right now gives visibility to all your team members to actually see what state a case is in, which I would think is way better than how it used to be in the past. Any questions?
From a privacy perspective, some of my data is proprietary. Of course, some of my customizations are proprietary.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have any control as far as what's get uploaded to you?
You are uploading it, so yes, it depends on what data you share with Microsoft. So we are not suggesting that you actually load your whole data onto the VM. Let's say we don't want to see you, what data do you have in your cost table and what not, basically. So let's say you think there's one specific line of code or a subset of the code that caused an issue, you can actually either configure it there or find some way in which you can actually repro the issue without using the real data. It might be as simple as scrubbing the data and then loading it into the VM. And most of the times what we have seen is you will be able to, if it's an AX, a core product issue, you'll be able to repro it with the demo data that we load out there. So we also ship this tool or the VM with the demo data. Any questions?
Yeah, you've covered how this can be used for both customers and partners to log issues with Microsoft. Is there any plan or way for the customer to use it to log an issue with the partner that the partner can first look at and then escalate to Microsoft if they want to, but using all the same great capture and logging?
Right, so right now that workflow is a bit offline. The understanding is that the customer is going to work with partner and one of the person is going to file the case. So we don't have that scenario captured right now, but that looks like a valid feedback. So we'll take care of that, yeah. Any more questions? Okay, back to you, Jared.
All right, so we showed you a set of. Hear me? Yeah, there we go. Back again. So we showed you a set of tools in each of these areas. So we talked about how when you're defining how your project's going to work, how you can use things like our license sizing, our infrastructure. There we go. And our infrastructure estimation. I'm just doing all sorts of terrible things with the mic. I don't know what's going on here. We also talked about the developer and how he can go through and analyze his customizations, use Business Process Modeler to figure out what gaps he needs to fill. We talked about how an IT admin can search for issues, can use our diagnostic service to find out what's going on. Our goal is no matter what stage of the life cycle you're in, is that we can help you to an overall quicker, easier, and cheaper implementation. So that said, the next question is, well, what are we doing next, right? So here's kind of what's coming up. Like Winston said, we're a very agile team. So month to month, we go to our backlog and we say, what's at the top of the list? And we pull the top things from the list. That said, we do have a little bit longer of a plan to say, here are the big areas where we want to try and get some next features in. So these are those areas. So the first one is issue resolution. And Sheppy talked about that just now. He kind of showed you a demo of how we'll be able to spin up these VMs. That ability will be coming very soon. It's in beta right now. We're making sure we have all the kinks out before we get it released wider. The next one is supporting R3. So we know that when R3 goes live, we need to support that, and you'll see that support coming live alongside of R3. So you'll see us supporting it in terms of license sizing. You'll see it in all of our tools, looking at making sure that R3 works right alongside it. Next up is our project methodology automation. So this is what we were talking about with SureStep and trying to make sure that we really have a set of guide rails of how to use these services so that it's not just a disjoint collection of things. We really want to help the project managers in this space. The next one is our Azure Deployment Portal, and like we said, there's a whole nother session that you can go to on that, but you'll see that also coming live with R3. So when we go live with R3, you'll start seeing these features light up in LCS, where you'll be able to actually deploy a demo environment, possibly a dev, test, and production environments that will be going live around that time as well. The next area is Rapid Start. So we know that Rapid Start, like I said, is just come into LCS, and we're looking into how we can actually tie it into all the various tools we have. If we can tie it into our business process modeler, we think that we can have a really novel way of allowing you to configure your system, and we can really help you save a lot of time and energy and configuration in this space. And last but not least, we'll have a lot of updates coming in all of our tools. So across the board, we try and keep a nice balance of working on our future goals as well as getting some of the smaller features in there that people really want and ask for. So feedback from people like you guys, I mean, you saw with Issue Search, we took feedback 3 weeks ago and we already have it live today. So we're always trying to look for some high priority asks that we can get out there that really make your guys' lives easier. So that's the roadmap. What are the next steps for you? So if you haven't used it yet, go there, log in today, go to lcs.dynamics.com, use your customer source or partner source login, and you can get right on. You can also join the conversation at our blog, or you can go learn more on TechNet. You'll also see in Lifecycle Services that we've got a set of help links. So if you go to the question mark in the corner, you can watch videos on each of our tools, as well as read the TechNet articles. So that said, I'm going to open it up for questions. You guys have already been pretty good at asking along the way. But we're happy to open up the floor to anything that you guys want to hear about.
And also before we go into the questions, so we did get a bunch of good feedback. So one way that you can communicate to the team is through the tool itself. So there's a smiley on the top of the tool, on the right corner. We do go through it and make sure we address most of the issues that come through. So feel free to use that option to actually reach out to us with any kind of feedbacks you have. And this tool is also supported by Microsoft Support. So you run into any issues while you're using the tool, then you can use the standard Microsoft Support channel to escalate to us.
All right, so questions. What do you guys have for us? Yeah.
Sorry, my experience in Dynamics is completely inexistent. I'm completely new. My question is about testing. You didn't talk about testing and test automation, because how we can be sure that our system continue to run and respect the specifications. Thank you.
Yeah, so testing. Obviously, testing isn't something that we have a great tool around today. We've looked at a lot of different ways that we want to go forward with it. I can't really give you a direction just yet because we don't have that entirely stable ourselves. I've seen people do a lot of different things. I've seen people use Business Process Modeler to model out how all of your processes work and then have someone go through and validate that they work afterwards as a stopgap, I guess, for now. But I don't have a solid story for you yet in the future there. I think, yeah, and Chris is also mentioning that customization analysis is also somewhat of a test if you can run it through there. Yeah.
Our issue resolution so far has been typically through Premier Support. Now, this is very interesting. What is the turnaround time, typically?
So this tool is right now in beta phase, basically. So we are still working out the details in terms of how the turnaround time is going to be. But our target goal is to, of course, bring down the turnaround time. We don't want to introduce a tool that's going to increase the turnaround time. So within a couple of weeks, we'll have details in terms of how the whole rollout is going to be, if we are expanding the beta participants to add more users, or what does the whole turnaround time is going to look like.
So this is in beta right now. It's not released yet.
No, it's not released yet. So we have like close to 5 customers and a few partners who is betaing this tool right now. And based on that, we are establishing the real numbers. But we do have some numbers in mind, and we do have a target and the success metrics in place. But I don't want to comment on any numbers at this point in time.
And when so it'll be released with R3 then?
That's the plan, yes.
Okay. And what's the funding for it? You know, who's paying for the support there?
That's a very good question. So most customers are already paying for the support plan. You have access to Lifecycle Services if you have a BREP or BREP and above support plan with Microsoft. So you are running into an issue with the AX product, and we feel responsible that we help you fix it quick. So it will be available through Lifecycle Services as long as you can log into Lifecycle Services and have an active support plan.
I'm going to ask a number of questions, so sorry about that.
That's fine.
obviously this is very exciting, and thank you guys for thinking about this. Sometimes our issues, or most of the time our issues, are production related, and that's where the turnaround time question came from. We'll wait to hear from you about what the turnaround times are, but do you foresee this issue resolution mechanism also taking care of production issues, or would that still go through Premier support?
So that's a very, very interesting question, basically. So one of the feedbacks that the team received during the beta phase was, you have all the details and you spin up a VM in cloud with all the configurations, and then finally I log into the VM and I try to add some data and customization, and then I repro the issue and assign it back to Microsoft. It's a real production issue, and it's going to take another 6 hours or let's say 2 hours to repro the issue. What capability can you provide? So basically what we are enabling, or in the process of enabling right now, is saving your instance as templates. So what that means is, let's say you have a production equivalent system in Lifecycle Services, which you actually did to repro your previous issue. You can save that as a template, as a reference for the future. So when you file the next case, you can just say, either create a new VM because it's in another environment, or I can actually choose an option to say, use my previous template, in which I was able to repro the old issue. So that way, we actually try to bring down the days to resolution, especially in terms of production issues.
And your beta program, is that by invitation, or can someone choose to join that?
Right now, it's by invitation. So what I would say is, if you're part of the council, you should just reach out to the council contact. And if you're really interested, then we can work something out. For now, it's by invitation.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Over here.
Sorry, can I just get some clarity from a partner point of view? If I open up a new project for pre-sales and we win the business, and then the customer takes on the lifecycle services, I'm not sure how that links.
So today, they're not terribly well linked together. So
Okay.
today, they're just separate projects. You make a separate pre-sales project, and then your customer would make an implementation project once you started working with them. However, much of the work we're doing around this process methodology is to pull that together and to make it a long process, right? So it starts with you, starting to figure out what their needs are, what they really need, then you win the sale, then move into an implementation phase where all the existing artifacts stay with you.
Okay. And a quick question on the diagnostics. Are you looking at license usage? Are you measuring what the customers are doing with their licenses?
I don't think we have any rules that look at license usage today.
Okay.
So one of the feedback that we have received, and it's there in our backlog, is mostly around, can we use system diagnostics to actually see if the customers are using the same licensing configuration that they bought AX for. So it's there in the backlog. We'll get there.
Thank you.
Hi. In regards to the life cycle and working with Azure, the cost for spinning up the incident to test, who's paying for that? If we of course are having an Azure license and paying for our own products to run on there, whether it's production or dev or QA, but when we submitting the ticket, when we're working with you and all the data that's being used and whatnot in the processing, who's paying for that?
At this point in time, the calculation from Microsoft side is Microsoft is going to take care of spinning up the VMs and making sure you guys get the issues resolved faster. With that said, we are in the evaluation phase to see how it's all going to be. That's why this tool is different, and it's massive, and it has a lot of touch points. So we want to make sure we are covered in terms of the SLAs, in terms of the costing, in terms of how the whole workflow is going to look like through support channel and to R&D. So at this point in time, all I can say is it will be covered as part of your, or it is covered as part of the support plan that you already have, and we might revisit in the future, but as of now, it's covered in your support plan.
Just a quick follow-up on the partner integration question. In the meantime, I know that our partner in particular had put together a bunch of business process as part of, it was actually after pre-sales, but regardless, it's on their site, not on our site. is there even an export-import capability at this point?
So right now, the one, I would say your partner could probably invite you to their project, or you could then work with them.
We just want to maintain the long-time life of the business processes because that's core to,
Yep. So the only way to do it today is to just do another import into your project. So to take the AXBPM file they've generated and import it in. However, we're working on a set of features right now that allow us to move around these libraries. So you'll be able to copy them from one place to another, and kind of with that, I think you'll see an ability to do something that looks a lot like import-export.
Right. And just to add on to what Jared said, and you also made a very valid point about keeping the business process models alive, basically. So I'll tell you one other instance why you would want to do that. How many of you actually uptake the latest CU from Microsoft, the cumulative update from Microsoft? Great. Okay, so have any of you guys tried the latest lifecycle service integration that was part of CU 6 and above? So let's say, for instance, you actually recorded all your business processes in Business Process Modeler in Lifecycle Services. So while you are in the process of uptaking the CU from Microsoft, we give you an option to log in to Lifecycle Services. So at that point in time, uptaking CU is no more a technical activity or a dev activity, because in the past what has been is we give you a CU, you download the CU, you install it in your instance, and you try to see what are the conflicts, what do I need to do next. But with this integration, what we are trying to do is, let's say you have your business processes out there, we actually tell you which business processes are getting touched as part of the CU. So what that means is even your functional guy can actually just download the CU, log into Lifecycle Services, and he exactly knows what effort is involved in terms of uptaking the CU, because you might have 200 business processes. Of that, maybe just 2 or 3 is getting touched as part of a cumulative update that's shipped by Microsoft. So that will be another reason why you would want to keep your business models up to date. Go for it.
Yes. Those of us who have larger 2009 implementations and have a lot of customizations, performance, best practice analysis, it's very important to us. Is there any determination of whether this tool would be of any help to us in the future?
So this tool...
I'm sorry, Lifecycle Services. I know in general it's targeted towards 2012. What aspects of it may we use either now or in the future?
So we expect that Lifecycle Services will be a multi-platform tool. So we want it to work against multiple versions. That said, 2009 is not a target for us right now. We're targeting more of our future versions. But I think that as we expand and we make the tool more generic, you may find some use in 2009. The one exception to that rule is our upgrade analysis. We'll actually look at 2000 back.
So thank you for this awesome tool, guys, first of all. My question is on the VM side. Is there a limitation on how many VMs that I can have on the Azure? And also, if I have a VM, how long is that going to be there in the cloud for me?
So when you say VM, are you talking about the R3 in Azure piece or the issue logging piece?
The issue logging piece.
Okay, so the VMs you create for issue logging is going to be by case. So let's say for each case, you actually have to create a separate VM. You're free to do so. And the VMs are going to be there spinning in Azure as long as the case is open. And we have done the due diligence in our part. Like, let's say you repro the case and you say, yes, send it to Microsoft. We make sure, from a cost perspective, we shut down the VM. And let's say Microsoft actually goes through, repros the issue, fixes the issue at that point in time as well. We shut down the VM until you guys come back and re-log in. So you have to start the VM and then re-log in and then continue with the testing. So the VM is going to be out there till you confirm that the case is closed.
I see. Thank you. Yep.
Hey guys, you mentioned TFS as one of the tools that could be used with LCS. Can you elaborate a little bit more how TFS today can be used and what's the plan for the future?
Yeah, I mean, today it's not connected at all. So there is no TFS connection in the current version that we have. Today you need to just use it as a project management or work item tracking tool on your own. You could look at the gaps that you have and take the gap list and move that over to TFS via Excel. Probably the best way to do it. Our first set of integrations will be looking at the business process modeler so that you can model your gaps. We move those over to TFS, where you can see them as user stories and tasks underneath. And then you can define your own templates of work that you need. And then we hope to show a view on top of that, where we can say this is how your business metadata looks on top of that. So for instance, being able to look at TFS and say, here's all of the workflow work I'm doing, here's all the integrations I'm doing, here's all the reports I'm doing. Being able to have some of those more business-specific looks onto TFS.
Okay, and just one more question about SharePoint, or many of us probably are using SharePoint as a document repository. So today, if I understood it correctly, it's a simple, there's a link to SharePoint, that's about it, no other integration. Different even identity can be used. Yep. Systems are independent completely. Is that it? Are there any improvements in the backlog?
So SharePoint is definitely something that we would love to support in the future. That said, it's just below our 6 month to a year radar. So right now, I won't say that you're going to see it in the near term, but it's definitely an area we're looking at, and definitely an area we want to integrate with in order to enable better document management.
Okay, very well. And the feedback for the tool, what's the best way to provide it to you guys? I think that was briefly mentioned also.
Right, so on the tool, you want to show it?
Demo this really quick, it's quick and easy.
And we have 5 minutes, so we will be able to take one more question.
So here's, if you go right up to the corner, there's a little smiley face. So I can say what you think. And this goes right to both of our desks.
So following up on the business process modeler and keeping those processes live, the tool's great, but it's really targeted at partners or IT departments. One of the things that we have is our business users are the ones that run the user acceptance testing. They're the ones doing the train the trainer. So the business process modeler, especially with the videos, it would be highly valuable to give to our business users. But in this framework, there's an awful lot of complexity and IT speak in it that would confuse the end users. Is there any thought of being able to continue to use that business process modeler, but do it in a way that is more targeted at the business users versus IT and all the other capabilities that are in Lifecycle Services?
Yeah, you're hitting on one of our goals. So we would very much like for functional users to be able to use Lifecycle Services as well as technical users. So I know today there's a lot of stuff around all the other things going on in Lifecycle Services that's probably a bit confusing to a typical business user. And I think, again, in the process methodology work that we're doing, you'll see some improvements to the project space and really what it is you're supposed to be doing, depending on who you are and what you're actually doing there. So you don't have to go and see, oh no, there's a diagnostic production issue. Should I be worried about this? I don't know. But yeah, so I feel your pain, and I think it's something that we're looking to make better as we improve the overall project flow.
We have 2 more minutes, and maybe we can take one more question, in case we have any.
Any chance I can get the rule violations pushed to me?
You mean the cat rule files?
Yeah, this is a common ask. We hear this from all.
So that's like one question that we always get in terms of, what rules are out there? So that's why I said all rules, or most of the rules that's part of the customization analysis, documented well and really nice in the AX best practice document I talked about. That has all the rules, and it's not like the old days document where we say, hey, these are the things that you do wrong. So that document is a bit different. So what we have done with that document is we say what's wrong and what's right. So when you go through that document, you will see the coding issues that you see. Like for instance, one of the rules we have is if you have a bunch of records to be inserted, do you use an insert record set, or do you actually do insert in loop? So all of that is part of the document.
Okay, I was talking about the rule violations that you showed here earlier from the diagnostics, like the SQL data file full and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. So when you go to system diagnostic, you actually have a drop down out there. So let's just quickly. Are in system diagnostic right now. Let's just go to messages. You have an option here to see all the rules that we ran in environment. So by default, the ones you see is actually the failed ones. So you can actually come here and say, oh, so this is going to give you the list of all the rules that we ran on your collected data. This includes the past ones and the failed ones. So with that said, tools like system diagnostic and customization analysis is a living tool, because over time from the field we'll learn what customers do wrong, what partners do wrong. So what we do is we update the rules behind the scenes because it's cloud powered. So yes, you can see all rules out here, but this is a living list basically.
Okay, I understand. I guess what I'm asking for is there any way for me to consume these rules other than go to the site and log in? Can you push them to me, either email or something like that?
Today, there's not a way to consume these in any other way. Yes, but we are actively considering it. There are a lot of people who this doesn't quite make sense for, where getting a production data uploaded to us may not exactly be the world's greatest decision for them. So we're looking at it. All right, thank you guys. Appreciate your time. And go to Lifecycle Services, lcs.dynamics.com if you want to try it out.
Right, and when you guys get time, please give feedbacks. Our managers would be very happy to read them. Thank you.